Hello, everyone. Welcome to Move More, Worry Less. I'm your host, Paige Vesta, the founder and designer at 13 Fit Apparel. On today's episode, I speak with Stephanie Barone, the lead photographer and founder at Boudoir Experience. Our conversation is all about boudoir photography, the importance of confidence, and exercises to improve negative self-talk. This episode was really fun to record. Stephanie is really fun. She has a great energy, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. Today, Stephanie Barone is joining me. She is a boudoir photographer and the founder of Boudoir Experience. So, Steph, if you want to give a little intro on yourself, who you are, where you are, what you do, the whole shebang.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am Stephanie. I am, as Paige said, the founder of Boudoir and the lead photographer. I say lead photographer because I hope one day to have a team.
Love that.
I am coming from you just outside of Philadelphia on the Jersey side. And oh my God, I already forget what you asked me.
I just ask you like who you are.
Okay, I'm coming from you from just outside of the Philadelphia, the Jersey side. And what I do is I photograph women in their underwear.
It's fantastic. I was just gonna, my follow-up was gonna be for anybody who's listening who doesn't know what boudoir photography is, to give it a definition. So if you want to expand on that at all, now would be a good time.
Yeah, so boudoir is photography in lingerie, essentially. I think that originally it used to be more of like a pinup situation. It used to be very done up, so much glam, pinup vibes, very posed. But I think as the years have gone by, it's modernized. And really, boudoir to me is just about feeling empowered in your own body, taking up space and allowing people to like lean into themselves and shying away, essentially, allowing people to become like who they truly are and love their imperfections and their insecurities. And I don't know why I'm being so weird. I'm so nervous.
Oh my, please don't be nervous. You're totally fine. I know it's weird. Like as soon as you hit record, you're like, oh my God, who am I? But like, pretend we're not even recording. Just talk to me as if, I'm,
Am I totally screwing up the editing process too?
No, because I might keep some of this in because I like the realness. Or I might use it for like a bloopers thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're okay with all of that, because
yeah, I'm totally fine.
Because that's like a part of what this podcast is. Like, we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd rather be real.
Yeah.
It's definitely not perfect.
What are you talking about? I think it's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about how you got into your niche in photography. And I mean, even if you want to go back even a little further, how you got into photography, period. Let's hear a little bit about your story.
So how I originally got into photography, I was always like an art nerd in high school. Weirdly enough, though, I never took photography there. But my stepdad had a film camera that I was always interested in. I would take it out every once in a while and play with it. And then for, I think my 20th birthday, my parents got me my first DSLR. It was an entry level, nothing crazy, but I just could not put it down. So I constantly was taking pictures. People started asking me to take pictures of like their families and stuff. And I went that route. I took a little bit of a break from it when I moved to California. And that's when I got into the fitness aspect of my life. And then moving home from California, continuing the fitness aspect, but also picking up my camera again and getting into weddings this time. I third shot for a friend of a friend. And after that one wedding, he's like, sure, I'll bring you on as my second photographer next year. So we've been shooting together for 7 or 8 years. I feel like I always say 5 years, but eventually it's got to, more time has to pass.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 years is like always my go-to, like 5 years ago, 5 years. And then within there, at some point, a friend of mine asked me to do a boudoir session for her then boyfriend, now husband. Maybe I'll take some credit for that. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. She sent me some inspo photos on Pinterest, and she's a hairstylist and pretty good at makeup. So she did all that herself. And I get to her house and we just had so much fun. The photos were not good, no fault of her own. It was mainly me. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea about poses, no idea how to guide people through a session. And I did not have the right equipment for the space that we were in. So that was like my first taste of it. And even though the photos weren't great, I mean, we got a few good ones that she liked. We liked them at the time, but looking back, I'm like, ooh, girl. But everyone has to start somewhere. So just the experience and the feelings of that session is what made me think, oh my God, I have to do this more. Yeah. I need to keep. And just, I mean, I actually watched her transform into a more confident person right in front of my eyes, just by being in front of the camera and just dropping like more into her body. And she's always on the outside has been a very confident person. You know, we never know what people are going through internally. So she could have been the most insecure person, but she was always a very confident person to me. And I was still able to see that little bit of a change happen.
Right.
So that's really where it fueled me. And then I started picking more up. And then it wasn't until April 2020 really that I decided to just make it more of a goal to make boudoir a bigger part of my business.
So once you decided that boudoir was going to be your main focus, like you said in the beginning, when you did this shoot with your friend, it was your first shoot. You guys didn't really know what you were doing. You didn't know about posing. You didn't have the right equipment. What was that journey like for you to be able to hone in on boudoir and know how to do it right?
So when it comes to weddings, that's all on location, right? You have a wedding venue, you're taking pictures in a park. If not, everything is at a venue. Families, that's on location as well. Usually I do most of my stuff outdoors, you know, on the beach, at a park, in the woods, whatever. Boudoir took a lot longer to get where I wanted to go. And like, I'm obviously still not where I want to be. We never are. We always move the goalposts. So it took about 3 years to get my home studio how I wanted it, to be able to like feel confident in shooting. I started shooting just up in my bedroom. I got that space good to go. And I was only offering that one location. It's a small space. And actually I did a workshop in February 2020, and I was still just shooting up in my bedroom at the time. And I said to her, like, I can't wait to get a studio. Like, my photos are all the same. And she was like, well, mine too, because it's still always in the studio space. So I didn't even think about that. I just thought like, oh, studio success. So that's when I was like, okay, I don't have to like keep my eyes on a studio at the moment. Let me just do my home studio space. Let me just get this right. So I started working on my living room. That took a while. That's what took the most time. And then once that was good, then I had like 2 spaces to really shoot and kind of bring some variety to my photos. As far as the gear and stuff, the journey of getting all that, that took like the entire span of my career from starting to this day. Right. And really, weddings is what kind of pushed me to get a lot of different variety of lenses and try them out and figure out what I like. And then I just found the ones that I like, and that's what I use for boudoir as well. I don't know if it means anything to you, but I'm a prime lens girl. She's like, no.
Photography is way over my head.
All right. Well, this is not a podcast about photography, so I'll spare everyone who's listening. But yeah, so I just interchange from like 2 or 3 lenses during a shoot. And then in December 2021, I finally got my studio for boudoir. It was, I still pinch myself sometimes. It was so exciting. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I am still petrified every single morning that I wake up, but A friend said to me right before I signed the lease, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And that's what pushed me to just go for it and sign the lease and trust that, things are going to continue to move forward and build.
I love that so much. And I'm like speechless because I know what feeling you're describing when you're just like ready to take a step and you take a risk and it's like, holy shit, but also this is awesome. So very, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about confidence and insecurities. So we kind of talked about this before we were actually recording, that you definitely see common insecurities within people who are coming to shoot with you. And I would love to talk about what those insecurities are. One, out of curiosity, but two, I feel like maybe if other people hear that it's so common to feel insecure about certain things, they can let go of that feeling and be like, oh, so many of us feel the same way, but like, why? We don't think about those things about our friends or people that we love, or, you don't love somebody based on if they've gained or lost 5 pounds or whatever the case is. You care about who they are inside. So that's kind of why I want to dive into that.
Absolutely. I think what you said, you wouldn't think those things or feel that way about, a friend or a loved one. And I think that people forget to put that into perspective when they're kind of negative talking themselves. It's like, would you say that to your best friend? Of course, sometimes we need tough love and we need realness. But it's the way you choose your words and the way you speak to yourself. You would probably never, ever speak to anyone that you love that way. Yeah, I mean, I would say for the most part, it ends up being a mental block for like on the highest level. People struggle with thinking that they're worthy of this experience. And that probably does come from not feeling like adequate in their body. But I think for the most part, it comes from the mentality of it. When it comes to physical parts, a lot of people are insecure about their stomach area. And yeah, I would just say, I mean, stomach area is a huge one.
Yeah.
I would say people just don't feel like they're worthy.
Yeah.
I think maybe people feel that, I don't want to say people feel like they're the only ones feeling that way, because I don't think that they truly think that. But, when you're in that cycle of negativity, it can feel isolating.
Right.
To the fact that like, oh my God, I'm the only one that feels this way. Everyone else is super happy. Everyone else is going about their lives. Everyone's successful. And here I am.
I feel like I can relate to that. Like, I would love to say that I'm, never have negative self-talk or don't see the imperfections in my body. And I've definitely come a long way in that. But it's funny because like I'll look at myself in an outfit and I'll be like, oh, I look fat, or like, that's disgusting, or like not nice things.
Mm-hmm.
I would never say to anybody else. Let's talk about how you prep people for a session. I know you have like a whole list of things that you do. You give them a guide. So let's talk about how you prepare for a boudoir experience.
Yeah. So going back to the fact that the most common insecurity is like a mental block and thinking that they're not worthy, a way to kind of combat that and help people start to think the opposite is to really prepare them for a session, is to give them all the knowledge and all the information that they need to feel completely prepared for a session so that they can go into it just feeling ready. So it starts with, I mean, I try and share as much as I can on Instagram for free. And that's, from outfit tips to like prepping your body, and so on. And when people book, I then send them a boudoir guide. And for private sessions, they get a printed version. And it's probably about 25 to 30 pages with a ton of information in there on what to expect for the session, how to prep for the session. And then I also have a posing guide in there so that people can start practicing poses before they come in and do them in front of a camera, because that could feel real weird.
Mm-hmm. Is that the end of your answer? Sorry.
I think so.
So what are the things that are in this guide? This is an amazing podcast, by the way. So the things in this guide, are they physical, tangible things to prepare, or is it like mindset or a combination?
It's definitely a combination.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to prepping their body, I encourage them to just like start drinking more water right away. So I guess that would be tangible because you're putting that in your body.
Right.
And then of course, like start moving your body and it doesn't have to be any specific exercise. I'm not asking you to go do Beachbody Insanity 30 days, 90 days, whatever it is. My God, did you ever do that? I'm sure you did Insanity back in the day.
I think I did some of them. I did P90X, but me and my roommate, shout out to Stacy, because I know she's going to listen to this. We had like one or two of the DVDs. So we didn't do like the whole program. We would just repeat the one that we had. But I think it was P90X, not Insanity, but yeah.
I had them illegally downloaded sorry, Sean Taylor, I think his name is, if you're listening. I did all the Insanity, me and my friend Gab, shout out to Gab, because I know she'll listen to this. We used to do it in my parents' basement. It was sick. Anyway, moving your body, you do not have to do anything insane like that, like we used to do when we were in our early 20s, and we would literally murder ourselves. It's something that feels intuitively right for your body. So even if it's a yoga class, a bar class, I used to teach Megaformer, so I always recommend that to people. And then prepping your outfit. So making sure that you are shopping early, if you have the means to buy extra, and then make sure that you can return things, make sure the return policy allows you to return if you don't wear, still have the tags. I just encourage people to buy a little bit more than they think they need, just for the insurance. That way they just feel better. They know that they have more than they need, so that they're not going to show up and they're not going to hate everything that they try on and then just have a bad experience. They know that they have, 5 bomb outfits in their bag, and they're going to work with the 2 that they like the best. And then, definitely some mindset stuff with like sitting, meditating, journaling, anything that, people do on their own. I actually have a new offering coming out, which is my empowerment sessions. And that's going to include some meditations. And I'm really excited for that. It's going to be 3 meditations for people to sit down, and it'll take you through a journey before your session to kind of shed some old beliefs and then start to manifest some new things and into, confidence and build self-esteem. So I'm excited to start offering that. And then also some Enneagram work. I know we talked a little bit about that in the past. I don't know if anyone knows Enneagram work. I feel like it's like one or the other. People know everything about it or nothing about it.
Yeah, that's where I was before I met you. Had no idea. Then you talked about, I ordered the book you said to get.
Oh, yes.
I've never opened it.
Oh my God.
It's been sitting there, and I just like get distracted with like everything else. And
do you know your number yet?
No.
Oh my God. Okay. Your homework after this podcast is to just at least get your number.
Okay. I will do my best.
Yeah.
It's sitting in my living room. I look at it like every day. I'm like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That thing.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. So that's like more energy work that I'll be offering in the future. And then like just even on my page, I talk a lot about astrology. I try and encourage people to engage in that and just tell me their sign. There's multiple times where like if Mercury goes into retrograde, I'll ask people what their Mercury sign is. If they don't, I'll give that out so that they can figure out how Mercury is going to how it's going to affect them that time around. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of things. It's, prepping aesthetically and then prepping mentally.
I think that's
all up in that guide.
I think it's really cool that you come at it from different angles, because I think, at least from like an outside perspective, like I've never been a photographer and I've never had a boudoir experience. But from the outside, you would think it's like purely aesthetic because it's photos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really interesting that you bring mindset and all these other things into it, because it really isn't, which leads us into my next question, which is about the journey from like before to after a shoot, the confidence shift, and what that journey looks like for your clients. Because I know you said, and I don't want to take any words out of your mouth that like you'll potentially say, but you were basically like, by the end, the photos end up being like a happy side effect of what really happens in a session. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. So probably to jump ahead real quick of like why people do sessions.
Okay.
I think, and I'll kind of like lead into that only because I'm just going to say like a lot of people do it for, I'd say it's half and half. Some people do it for themselves completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people do it for like a gift for other people. So if you're doing it for a gift for other people, then your end goal is to have those images to look at. You're not really thinking about like anything in between. You're doing it for someone, so you want these photos. If you're doing it for yourself, you're probably thinking about all this in between work. So either way, however your intentions are going into the session, you're going to get all this in between work. And just from, all that prep, I think a lot of that mindset work starts to get people thinking and changing and picking up better habits. And then the session itself is just so empowering. It's so much fun. We have music going. There are mimosas if that's your thing. The glam portion of it is so much fun. My lead makeup artist, Jessie, shout out to Jessie, I don't know if she'll listen, is incredible. She's one of my favorite people. She's just so much fun. She walks into the room and it's just a party. And we have a blast during that part. We're just talking, even if we've never met this person before, it's like we're all best friends. Then we get into the photography part of it and the music's still going and they just feel like a badass bitch because they have this lingerie on, their hair is amazing, their makeup is amazing, and they're just feeling so powerful that they could essentially flip a car. So just guiding them through the poses and watching from like the first pose to the last pose and how they really start to become confident in their body and with their movements. And like, I don't have to say as much towards the end of the session as I do in the beginning. In the beginning, I'm doing a lot of guiding and I'm reminding them to make sure that they're constantly moving. And before the session, I sit down with them and go over like a 15-minute spiel of what to expect and kind of posing tips and all that. So then during the session, I'm guiding them and just reminding of these tips that I had mentioned in the beginning. And it's like a complete 180 from how they start to how they end. People tend to come in and like, maybe they'll get changed. Like they'll like, get changed and be real modest and have a robe on. And by the end, it's just tits out and everyone's walking around naked in the studio and just free and loving it.
Do you find that confidence and that empowerment lasts? Because I'm just speaking from like personal experience of certain things. Like sometimes some things make you feel really confident or whatever, but then like the next day you're back to normal or whatever, wherever you were before. So how does that carry with your clients through?
Well, kind of back to what you said, quoting what I said, because I didn't really touch on that. We're so good at this.
This is amazing. No, it's perfect.
The fact that
we scripted the whole thing.
We're really, really good actors. So, going through that whole experience and how they walk out feeling confident and everything. And I didn't even touch on the fact that they get photos. It's like most people, like when it comes to their second session or third session, we wrap up the session. They're like, that's all I need. Like, I don't actually need the photos. Like, I just wanted that experience to kind of refill my confidence tank. It's never, ever going to go completely away because once it starts to dwindle, you have those photos to look back on and help fill you back up. Now, the photos are probably not going to fill you up as much as doing a session. So, once you get to that point where you're feeling like you need to refuel yourself, then that's when you book another session and you can, it goes all the way back up to the top and you're ready to go again. You're feeling confident. You're feeling on top of the world.
What do you think? This might be like a kind of loaded and like vague question, but I just want to hear what your thoughts are. Like, why is confidence and feeling empowered important?
Because I think that when people feel confident, they are all around happier, and they take care of themselves. They do things for themselves, which rubs off on other people, right? If we're not taking care of ourselves, then we can't take care of other people. If I'm not being the best for me, then how can I be the best for people around me? So I think that the confidence really helps people lean into themselves more. I think it helps them be themselves authentically and unapologetically as well.
Yeah. I really love that you said, if you want to be able to do for others, you have to do for yourself. And I feel like it's kind of, trending right now, like self-care and self-love, which is like wonderful and all that. But I think it also sometimes feels selfish to put your priorities and like your confidence and feeling empowered and like these things for yourself. Like that can feel really selfish.
Yeah.
And I just like that you said that, because it's not selfish.
Mm-mm.
It's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like an example, but I don't know. Like I am really, really obsessed with going to bed on time. And my boyfriend will be like, no, like, let's stay up. And, and I'm like, no, like, I want to be like, warning, I'm like sometimes kind of lame, but I want to be in bed at 8 o'clock because that gives me an hour.
God, I love that.
Well, I want to read. I want to settle in. It takes me, my brain is always going. So I need time to calm down. So by the time I'm actually sleeping, it's after 9 o'clock. And then I want to be able to be refreshed in the morning. And for a long time, he'd be like, oh, let's watch one more episode of whatever show we're watching. And of course, he doesn't mean it to harm me. He's just enjoying our time, whatever. And I'd be like, okay, fine. But then I'd go to bed later than I wanted to. And then I'd wake up grumpy. But like I was trying to do what felt good for him because I didn't want to be like an annoying girlfriend that was like, no, I have to go to bed.
Right.
And then it was like, I was doing this for him. I'm going off on like a way tangent here, but
no, I love it. Happening. I love it.
It was on the script. So, but then I just started to realize like, I keep messing up my sleep schedule. So then I'm not having a good day. And then I'm grumpy and I'm not nice to him necessarily.
Right. Grumpy toward him, not getting the things done that you need to get done.
Yeah.
Probably, slacking on things that fill your cup.
Right. Right.
So
all
yeah,
because I was trying to do this. Yeah. I was trying to do this one small thing for him, but then I'm not able to show up to my whole day because I'm like crazy affected by my sleep, as I would assume most people are. But if I don't sleep like exactly right, like it can mess up my whole day. So that was like slightly off topic, but I just really, that resonated.
No, because
I
think that when people are more confident, they're able to set more boundaries
and
they're able to stay true to those boundaries. They don't waver. And so originally you were like, sure, I'll watch another episode. And now you're like, no, I need to go to bed. I know that this is my time. I know that this is my cutoff. That way I can get my rest and I'm good for tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just, it's setting those boundaries and staying like firm on them.
Yeah.
I think is a side effects of confidence.
Right. And isn't it funny and interesting how it's all connected? Like, well, we got to this topic by talking about photography, which it's so interesting. And I think it's a really cool thing to talk about because like I said earlier, when you talk about photography, generally you're thinking about aesthetics and art and like the end product, but really what it is a transformation and confidence, which again leads to all these positive things, setting boundaries, taking care of yourself, and just being able to love on yourself. So I think that's so good.
Well, and that's why I named my business a Boudoir Experience because it's not just about the photos that you get, it's about the entire experience and what you gain from that.
That's really special.
And then back to like, you asked how long the confidence lasts. I'm sure it's different for everyone. Like I did say, like looking at the pictures will fill your tank back up and then doing another session. But I had a friend, she did a session with me March 2020. And I saw her December 2021. We were in El Salvador for a wedding and we were at the after party on the dance floor and we're dancing, we're vibing, we're having a great time. And she comes up to me and she's like, I just want to let you know that I look at those pictures all the time. And to this day, they still make me feel like a badass bitch. She wanted to reassure me that even almost 2 years ago, that experience still sits with her and she still is able to pull some positive feelings from it. Right. Now she's already an incredible person. So I really don't take any credit for, how she is, because she is just the brightest beam of light. But to know that it could affect someone who already has so much confidence. And again, what she's going through on the inside, I don't know. She can be showing all this confidence on the outside and, be beating herself up on the inside. But I know that she does a ton of energy work. And if I were to guess, I think she's like pretty good with herself, as far as loving herself and accepting herself. And if she doesn't, I love and accept her so much.
Yeah. Aw. And I really do. It's awesome that it's the whole experience with you. You're delivering more than just, and I say just gently, like they're not just photos.
Yeah, of course.
Photography is hard. I have a camera and I try to take pictures and I'm like, it would be so convenient if I was a photographer, but it's such a special kind of art. And then on top of that, you're able to add like more than the photos to people's lives, which is really great. Do you only photograph women?
No, so I have done some boudoirs.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about that?
We sure can.
Yeah.
I've only done probably less than a handful. I have one scheduled. It just hasn't worked out. So I did one like September 2019. I just took a few shots of a friend of mine that actually does my video work. He's the cutest thing ever. So I was like, take your shirt off, sit on the couch. Let me take a few shots of you so I can like start marketing to Boudoir. And then another friend of mine, he hired me. He does not want me to share his photos, so I never have. And I did it in his house. Now I have someone else who's like on deck, and I was waiting to get my studio to schedule because I don't know. I just didn't feel like my home worked in a masculine setting. It just didn't, like, I just couldn't imagine. And this guy's a masculine guy that I will be photographing. I just couldn't imagine like a masculine, muscular guy, like laying on my couch or like my bed. It didn't, like, I couldn't see the vision. So now that I have my studio, we're trying to set something up. But yeah, I mean, it's different because the poses aren't as feminine. I mean, if they want them to be, they can be. Like, I give them the space to like kind of work through whatever they want and move their bodies however they want. There's absolutely no judgment if they want to be more feminine. But it tends to be kind of like more muscular, like more sultry in that sense. It's a lot of like kind of like, sliding jeans down or taking a white t-shirt off and like you kind of get the angles there. And then like in the sheets, like it's always fun to like have sheets, like just like right over the goods, right, and like maybe some skin out. And then the guy that I have something set up with, I can't remember if he's like I think he actually may be a bodybuilder. And he's just like, he loves to work on, his fitness, if you will. So we're going to do a lot of fun stuff there with kind of shadows and different aesthetics there. And then I might spray them down with a little spray bottle for some fun photos,
right?
For some steamy ones,
right? Do you have any of the dudes of the Boudoir that is So funny, Boudoir.
Boudoir.
I love that. Have they expressed any insecurities like women do?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
the one that I've done in the past that I did at his home were friends. And I have known I knew before the session that he did have insecurities, like women express, and I honestly think that's more common than not. It's just they don't express them.
Right.
They have the same insecurities, they just don't, verbalize them. And that's something I always want to be aware of. That way I can be sensitive to it. So, I knew exactly where he felt insecure and where he felt good. And I wanted to just make sure that we were, I was just aware of that as we were doing the session, and that we highlighted the things that he liked. Yeah. So, they're the same.
Yeah.
I don't think that they feel like they can express it. And then it's also pushed on women so much more to be like perfect,
Right.
that I think that's why there's so much more pushback from women at this point.
Yeah. And this is my opinion. This is not rooted in fact at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to me like you're saying it's pushed on women more. And I think it's outwardly like, none of us are strangers to like media and social media and like what the quote unquote ideal body is or whatever the case is. But I feel like with guys, there's still insecurities and it's not pushed on them. I think it's expected of them to be a certain way, but it's not pushed on them. So like men are expected to be masculine. Men are expected to be confident and be able to just like handle shit or whatever it is.
Provide.
Right. And I just, I think I'm glad that you shared that, because I think guys need to know that it's okay if they have insecurities too, and that they could go through the same experience and, or whatever gender you identify with. Like, it's not exclusive to women, that feelings are not exclusive to women and insecurity. Right. And like this experience, like no matter who you are, you deserve to feel confident and empowered. And yeah, so
yeah.
that's really cool that you do, guys. I love that so much. So you were mentioning before that you used to teach on the megaformer, that's what's called, right? So like SLT Pilates kind of deal.
Yep.
Okay.
I taught for SLT. Yeah.
Oh wow. On point. So, so you understand the fitness world. And I think what's really interesting about what you do is I feel like there's like an overlap.
Oh yeah.
Not for like the physical aspect.
Well, yeah,
what it does for you. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think that a lot of people get into fitness for the physical aspect, but they stay for the mental aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly how they overlap, is because they both you go into both with a physical intention, and you come out, with a better mindset, with a heightened mental health.
Yeah. You said it exactly what I was thinking. Oh my goodness, this is fun.
I think that one thing that I didn't say, going back to like insecurities,
mm-hmm.
Is that a lot of people wait for their bodies to be like like perfect, or like a certain vision that they have in their head, which is never going to be. Because even if you get to that original vision, you're going to move the goalposts. You're going to change that vision in your head, because you attained that goal, whether it was a good goal or a bad, like whether it's a healthy goal or an unhealthy goal. You've obtained it, and now you're like, okay, I can do things. I can succeed in this. Let me just go a little bit farther. So you're going to constantly push something like this off if you don't think that you're good enough right now. And all of that is like truly about just shedding the weight of your mind, not your body. Like your boobs aren't saying like, I need to be bigger. Your butt isn't saying like, I need to be bigger. And then like your arms aren't saying, I need to be more toned. That's all in your head. That's like holding you back from doing something that's going to increase your confidence in the body that you have now. Things don't need to change in order to gain this experience and be worthy of this experience. You already are worthy of the experience.
So what's the step you take from feeling like the feelings of I'm going to wait until I achieve X, Y, or Z to like, what has to shift? What do you have to do to just be like, you know what, I'm going to do it because I am worthy and I am perfect for these photos as I am now?
Well, I mean, I think that's just like starting to speak to yourself in a more positive way, or even a neutral way. It doesn't even have to be like going from loving yourself completely, or I'm sorry, from hating yourself completely to loving yourself. They can be complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And someone who is not happy in their body, the thought of loving themselves is so far out there that they can't even think about starting that journey. I'm doing like all these things with my hands.
It'll be on YouTube, so some people will see it.
Some people will see the theatrics. Great.
Yeah.
They can't even think about starting that journey. It just seems like so far away. So instead of thinking, okay, stomach area tends to be a problem area for a lot of people, in insecure areas. So instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much fat on my belly, there's so many rolls, whatever, thoughts you have in your head, just think, wow, this area right here just processed all the food that I ate today. And it kept me alive. Like, this is why I'm living. This is why I'm still able to go throughout my day. So just shifting from like negative to neutral, and then hopefully people are able to go from neutral to positive, and just really like lean into themselves, who they are.
Yeah. What are some things that people can do to shift their confidence or get ready for a session or shift their mindset to something a little more positive?
So a few exercises that I like to do. One that can be really challenging is standing in front of a mirror and staring directly into your soul. Essentially, just make eye contact with yourself. See how long you can do that. Like, a lot of people can't even do it for more than 10 seconds without having to look away. So see how that makes you feel. Journaling. I mean, journaling your feelings, especially in that exercise, is going to be really helpful, because like, if you're not feeling positive thoughts about it, I even think getting those negative thoughts out, like on paper, is just helpful to kind of purge that. And then maybe it'll help you realize, oh wait, I really don't think about myself in a positive way. Maybe it's something that you're like, I think I'm pretty positive about myself. And then you do that exercise and you're like, ooh, this does not feel good. So journaling, allowing yourself to purge those, and then being able to kind of change your thought process when you do, look at yourself, get a glimpse of yourself, or even just do that exercise. Meditation, when we quiet our minds, we allow our psyche and our body to heal. So I know meditation is really difficult for people, but instead of thinking of it like as a chore, people should think of it as like a self-love activity. It's something that's going to bring them peace and tranquility and just overall clarity in their mind, bodies, and spirits. So I think these exercises, mental exercises, are really good. And then yoga. I mean, physical exercise as well. Just some stretching is so good for the mind, body, and soul as well. It doesn't have to be some crazy hot yoga class or vinyasa class. Just that mind body connection is so helpful when getting in front of the camera. If you know where your body's going in these poses, and you feel more familiar with your mind body connection, it just makes for a much better session. We have so much more success. There's so much more to choose from when it comes to the end product, as far as shots that we got. And I think that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
What do we went over I say meditating, that exercise, staring at yourself, moving your body, some yoga. Also, self-love activities like for you specifically, like things that make you feel good. A morning routine. I love my skincare routine. I will not waver on my skincare routine. It's like 10 minutes in the morning, 15, 20 minutes at night. My boyfriend's like standing outside the bathroom. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing my skincare routine. Like, leave me alone. So those kinds of things like make me feel good and make me feel like I take up more space in the world.
Yeah.
And then honestly, just book the damn session. Just take the leap and book it. I'm not going to say you're not going to regret it. I'm sure there are going to be some people who are not in the right mental space and do it and just aren't ready, truly aren't ready. But like 99% of people will not regret it. It's going to be something that's going to propel you forward. It's going to make you feel better about yourself. It's just an accepting process.
Yeah. And not for like, let's not be totally cliche, but I'm going to totally be cliche right now. But it's really great to do things that are completely out of your comfort zone. Because like for me, that would be such a big reason why I'd want to do it, because I love to do stuff that I'm not comfortable. That's why I have a podcast. Listen to me talk. Obviously, like I'm not a journalist or like a reporter. I mean, you know what I mean? But it's out of my comfort zone and it's teaching me a lot. And I like that growth. So I think that it's the same thing, you know, like booking a session is just going to push you a little bit further. And I mean, you're never going to know your potential if you always stay, you know, doing the things you're comfortable with.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It was on the script. Okay. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so much fun. More than editing this podcast, I can't wait to make a bloopers reel. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, we really provided for the bloopers reel.
No, it's perfect. I've got a lot of material to work with. So thank you for being here today. And that's it.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to listening to this over again.
Yay. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Move More, Worry Less. If you love this episode, please subscribe, share, rate, or review us to help us grow our mission. If you don't already, follow us on social at 13 Fit Apparel and visit our website at www.13fitapparel.com. Thanks for listening.